and prayer with you. This morning we continue on page 194. If you'll join with me in the Hebrew. Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et ha'adam bechokma, uvarav nekavim nekavim chalulim chalulim. גלוי וידוע לפני כיסא כבודיך, שאם יפתח אחד מהם, או יסתם אחד מהם, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר, ומפליא לעשות.
אלוהי, אלוהי, נשמה, שנתת בי טהוראי. אלוהי, אלוהי, שנתת בי טהוראי. אתה בראת, אתה יצאת, אתה נפחת בי, ואתה משמרה בקרבי. אלוהי, אלוהי, נשמה, שנתת בי טהוראי. בזמן שהנשמה בקרבי, עולה אני לפניך. אדוני אלוהי, ואלוהי אבותי, ריבון כל המעשים, אדון כל הנשמות. ברוך אתה אדוני, אשר בידו נפש כל חי, ורוח כל בשרי. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לספרי בינה להבחין בין יום ובין לילה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, רוקח עברי.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, מתיר אסורים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, זוקף כפופים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, רוקע הארץ על המים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המכין מצעדי גבר.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, מלביש ערומים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, הנותן ליעף כוח.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המעביר שינה מעיני ותנומה מעפעפיי.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בצלם אלוהים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בן חורים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני ישראל.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוזר ישראל בגבורה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, חוטא ישראל בתפארה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו לעסוק בדברי תורה. At the bottom of page 204, if you'll join with me in the English. O eternal our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants and the descendants of all your people Israel, may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Baruch Ata Adonai, Hamelamed Torah La'amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who teaches Torah to your people Israel.
אלו דברים שאין להם
דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, ואלו הם דיבור אבהם וגמילות חסדים, והגשמת בית המדרש שחרית וערבית. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, ואלו הם והכנסת אורחים וביקור חולים, והכנסת כלה ולוויית אמן. בעיון תפילה, בעיון תפילה, והבאת שלום בין אדם לחברו, ודברים שאין להם שיעור, ודברים שאין להם שיעור, ודברים כנגד כולם. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו הם.
We turn to Cicadas in Vow on page 212. 212.
Baruch Shema v'haya ha'olam.
Baruch hu,
Baruch Oseh v'Reshit.
Baruch omer ve'oseh,
Baruch Gozer Mekayem.
Baruch merachem al haaretz,
Baruch merachem al habriot.
Baruch meshalem sachar tov lireah,
Baruch ha'elad v'kayam lanetzach.
Baruch bode umatil, Baruch shemo.
If you'll join with me at the bottom of the page, with songs of praise, we extol you and proclaim your sovereignty. For you are the source of life in the universe. One God, life of the universe, praise and glorious ruler, your name is eternal. Baruch atah Adonai, melech meulal batishbachot. Blessed you, eternal one, sovereign who is glorified through praise.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשבחה עליון, ולזמר לשבחה עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשבחה עליון, ולזמר לשבחה עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתה הלילות, עלי אסור עלינה, ולעלי היגיון לחידון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשבחה עליון, ולזמר לשבחה עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, ועשה ידך רעי. הגלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש פעל לא ידע, ובזיר לא יבין את זאת. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשבחה ככה לו, אשרי עם שאדוני אלוהיו.
תהילה לדוד, ארמים אלוהי המלך, ואברך שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, והללה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורתך יגידו.
הדע כבוד הודיך, ודברי נפלותיך עשיך.
ועזוז נורתך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה.
זכר רב טובך יביאו, וצדקתך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדל חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורתם, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכיפופים.
עיני חולייך יסברו, ואתה נותן לכם את אוכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל דבריו, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד, ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם.
הללויה. הללו אל בקודשו, הללו ברכי עוזו, תפאר ותרומם זכרך מלכנו תמיד מן העולם ועד העולם אתה אין לנו מלך אלה אתה. If you'll join with me in the English. Let the soul of everything alive bless your name, eternal our God, and the spirit of all flesh glorify and exalt your name forever, O sovereign. Transcending space and time, you alone are God. We have no sovereign beside you. God of the first and the last, God of all creatures, God of all generations, who is praised in a multitude of praises, who guides the world with abundant loving kindness, and all creatures with mercy. The Eternal One neither slumbers nor sleeps. God awakens the sleeping, arouses those who slumber, gives speech to the mute, and God loosens the bonds of captives, supports the fallen, and strengthens those who are bent over. You alone do we acknowledge. And so even if our mouths were full of the song of the sea, and our tongues full of joy in countless waves, and our lips full of praise as wide as the sky's expanse, and were our eyes to shine like sun and moon, if our hands were spread out like heaven's eagles, and our feet swift like young deer, we could never thank you adequately, Adonai our God and God of our ancestors, to bless your name for a 10,000th of the many myriads of times you granted favors to our ancestors and to us. And therefore, these limbs which you have formed in us, and this spirit and soul that you breathed into our nostrils, this tongue which you have set in our mouths, they must acknowledge, bless, praise, and glorify your name, O our sovereign. For every mouth will acknowledge you, and every tongue pledge homage to you. Every knee bend in your presence, and every upright person shall bow before you. Every heart will revere you, and every inmost thought will sing to your name. As the psalmist wrote, let all my bones exclaim, who is like you, O God? And as David continued, bless the Eternal One, O my soul, and let my inner being praise your holy name. Ha'el beta'atzmot zecha hagdol b'chvod shemecha, הגיבור לנצח והנורא בנורתך, המלך היושב על כיסא רם ונישא, שוכן עד מרום וגדול שמו, וכתוב רננו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נאווה תהילה, בפי ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקהלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, ורינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. You shall always be praised, great and holy God, our sovereign in heaven and on earth. Songs of praise and psalms of adoration become you, acknowledging your might and your dominion. Yours are strength and sovereignty, sanctity, grandeur, and glory always. We offer our devotion, open our hearts in acclamation. Baruch atah Adonai, El Melech Gadol v'tishbachot, El Adonaot, Adon HaNivlaot, Habocher b'shirei zimra, Melech Melech Haolamim. We rise for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 224.
Shirata
be seated. If you'll join with me in the Hebrew on page 228. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, hameir la'aretz veladarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid maaseh bereshit. Ma rabu maasecha Adonai, kulam bechokma asita, mal'a haaretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, על שבח מעשה ידיך ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפארוך סבח. אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. On the next page, if you'll join with me in the English. How deeply you have loved us, eternal our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion on account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we will celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly, you drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Baruch ata Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'ahava. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who chooses your people Israel in love.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל, אמרת עליהם, ועשו לכם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בטיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, עשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני
239 in the English at the bottom of the page. The eternal truth is that you alone are God, and there is none else. May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war any more.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that lives amongst you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor, asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
Mi kamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot posek melech, nora tehilot posek melech.
Shira chadasha shivachu gehulim, l'shimcha l'shimcha al shafat hayam. Yachad Ramanu Ve'im Liku Ve'amuru Adonai Imlav Le'olam Ha'ed.
Yam bam bam bim bidi bam, yam bam bam bim bam, yam bam bam bim bidi bam, yam bam bam bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yam bam bam bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yam bam bim bam.
Israel, Kuma Bezrat Israel, Uvdechinu Evai, Ahud of Israel, Goleinu Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, Kadosh Israel, Baruch Atah
So we continue with the Amidah, the standing prayer on page 242. As is our tradition, we will chant the first three of the blessings together as a community, and then we'll be seated and continue. Page 242, the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach, uvi agim tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Asleavot Ve'imahot, U'mevig Elal V'nei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Nechaim Eitim Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv Baruch U'Mamshita Geshem, Mazriach HaShemesh U'Morit Hatal. Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayim Eitim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Ve'olim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar. Mi Kamocha V'Gevurot, U'Midom Elach, metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hametim. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmeinu, kakatuv al yad neviecha, v'gal Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzebaot, Eloh kol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu, Adir shimcha b'kol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu vehu Yashmienu, berachamav le'lechorai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Zion, le'tovato. Hallelujah. Le'tovato nagid Godlecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushat kanatish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu v'ivinu lo yamush, le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated and join us with Yismichu on page 250.
Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat.
Shabbat, Emdan Yamim, O Karata Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat, Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomrei. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, our eternal God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat, blessed are you, Eternal One, who sanctifies the Shabbat. רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל, ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך. אל קרוב לכל תורה פני לעבדיך וחוננו, שפוך רוחך עלינו. ותחזינה עינינו לשובך לציון ברחמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, המחזיר שכינתו לציון. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose presence returns to Zion. On page 256. We acknowledge with thanks that you are our eternal God and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of the day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד. וכל החיים יודוך סלע ויהללו את שמך באמת. האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני. הטוב שמך ולך נאה להודות. Blessed are you, Eternal One. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Sim Shalom. moment of silent prayer and meditation, whether using the words of our prayer books or the words of our hearts. לרצון מרעיפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי בגואלי. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Turn to page 362 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah on Shabbat, the order for reading the Torah on Shabbat.
Adonai melech, Adonai
kindly please be seated. Right, I lost my talit along the way. So Shabbat Shalom. This week we have a combined Torah portion, Matot Maseh. I would not dare to steal Gersh's thunder and talk about the Torah portion today. However, we will go straight into the Torah laning, which you will find on page 1226. And 1227. Ruja will be laning for us, and I must say, Ruja, it is truly a delight to have you back up on the bima, feeling good enough to actually come back and lane. Come on down, or come on up, as the case may be. And for our first aliyah, it is very apropos to have Max come up for this aliyah. Ya'amod Moshe ben Pesach ve'bashar uchel rishon la'aliyah laTorah. Let's just find the spot. Yes. Have I lost Max? Yep. I've lost Max. Really? I've lost Max. He's had a pretty busy morning, I must say. Okay, we will switch the aliyot. Because I can do that. Because the second aliyah happens to be someone who knows his name. Ya'amod harav hagadol hagibor v'anora Gershon Hersh ben Michael v'aviva Rishon la'aliyah laTorah. The additions are Harav, the rabbi, Gadol, great. Gadol means big. It can also be interpreted as fat. Every time I call him up, he says, "You just called me fat." Hagadol, big, right? Hagibor, heroic. Vanora, awesome. Rabbi, you're up. Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bacha Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Torato. Baruch Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Just so that you know where you are, we are at chapter 32, at verse 1, which is on page 1226 in the left-hand column at the paragraph break. 1226, left-hand column at the paragraph break.
Amen. Umiknei ra haya livnei Reuven velivnei Gad azum meod vayara'u et eretz Yazer ve'et eretz Gilad vehine hamakom mekom miknei. Vayavo v'nei Gad u'v'nei Reuven vayomeru el Moshe ve'el Elazar haKohen ve'el Nesiei ha'edah lemor atarot v'divon v'yaser v'nimra v'heshbon ve'el aleh Usivam unavo uve'on ha'aretz asher hika Adonai lifnei adat Yisrael eretz miknei ve'la'avadeha miknei.
Chazak.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Mishibarach Avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel veLeah. God who blessed our ancestors bless you, Gersh, as you come to Torah in honor of Shabbat, in honor of this community, but most importantly, in honor of your continuing journey and your continuing journey towards healing. There is a prayer that you'll all find on page 371. The tradition is called to bench gomel or birkat gomel. and it's a prayer of thanksgiving when we have journeyed through a time of difficulty.
We should say, I was called up to Torah a month ago, and when I arrived at Torah, Michelle turned to me and said, "Do you want to bench Gomel?" And I said, "Not yet." I walked up to Torah today and said, "It's time to bench Gomel," which is very, very good news for me and for my family.
Which reflects the sense of
Getting there.
Yeah, the sense that the journey is at a critical moment in healing, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel at this point. And so the tradition is for the person who has had the aliyah to say the words of the first section, and for the community to respond with the second paragraph.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shegemalnu kol tov. Blessed are you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, who has bestowed every goodness upon us.
Amen. Mi shigmalchem kol tov hu yigmalchem kol tov selah. Amen. May the one who has bestowed goodness upon you continue to bestow every goodness upon you forever.
Amen, amen, and amen.
Truly a pleasure to have you back on the bima. And so for our second aliyah, Ruja continues to lane for us, and this time we have Max Jared and Yamod Moshe ben Pesach Vebashar Uchel Sheni Laliyah La Torah. We're just going to find where we are. We're going to point to it, if we may. We are on page 1227, right-hand column, fourth line down. You can see the samach at the end, which is actually the end of a paragraph. So we're beginning on the fifth line, first word. It's at... Before.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
מצאנו את בעיניך יותם את הארץ הזאת לעבדיך לאחוסה אל תעבירנו את הירדן ויאמר משה לפני גד ולפני ראובן האחיכם יבואו למלחמה ואתם תשבו פה ולמה תמיון את לב בני ישראל מעבור אל הארץ אשר נתן לכם אדוני כי עשו אבותיכם ושולחי אותם מקדש ברנע לראות את
הארץ. חזק.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Mishberach Avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. May God who blessed our ancestors bless you, Max, who have shared your journey with us for the last couple of years. And I hope that this is far from just a culmination of this part of your journey, but a sharing of journeys to come in the years to come. And I look forward to working with you for many years to come. As long as you're in Australia, I hope to see you on a regular basis. May this be truly a beginning of a new and exciting part of your life and your journey, and may we cross paths often. And we say, Amen. As is our tradition, we move from celebration to memory. If you are here at a time of Shiva, Shloshim, or the yahrzeit of a loved one, please come forward. This aliyah is for you. The third aliyah will be chanted by Yulia, who is coming to Torah at this time. We are on chapter 32, verse 9 and onwards. You'll find us at verse 9 and onwards, which is 1227, right-hand column, second line from the bottom, second word. If you'd like to come forward, we are beginning just here.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar banu mikol ha'amim Natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaya'alu ad nahal Eshkol, vayir'u et haaretz, vayani'u et lev bnei Yisrael, leviltifo el haaretz, asher natan lahem Adonai. Vayicharav Adonai bayom chachu, vayishava lemor, im yir'u ha'anashim ha'olim mimitzrayim, miben 20 shana v'mala, et ha'adama asher nishbati, le'Avraham, le'Yitzchak u'le'Yaakov, ki lo mil'u acharai. Bilti Kalev ben Yepune Haknisi, v'Yehoshua ben Nun, ki mil'u acharei Adonai.
Chazak.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Mishberach Avotenu Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. May God who bless our ancestors bless you as you come to Torah in honor of Shabbat, in honor of Torah, but most importantly in honor of the memory of loved ones. And as we take a moment for each of you to think of your loved one, whether it be recent or whether it be some time past, their mist and their spot at the table is always a sense of emptiness. May the memories be cherished, and may the impact that they've had on you always be something that you cherish and that remains a blessing for years to come. May their memories also always glow and shine, something present and real for each and every one. May their memories truly be for a blessing. And we say, Amen.
Amen.
As is our tradition, in the presence of Torah, we share a prayer for those amongst us in need of healing. And so we turn to Mishaberach on page 371. 371. Shabbat, we especially think of Eva Marks, of Gabrielle Bat Yitzchak Vudvora, Arav Gershon Hersh Ben Michael Be'aviva, Eve Lustig, Ned French, Henry Gladwin, David Jones, Anita Miani, Helen Klassen, Adira Bat Rachel, Bella Magid, Andreas Pitmash, Rochelle Hyams, Pinchas Ben Michal, Joy Watson, Rebecca Moylan, and Hannah Bat Torah. If there are other names that you would like to add to this list, please call them out or think of them in your hearts as I look around the room. Victor, if you will join us. You will note as we raise the Torah, we have arrived at the end of this book of the Torah. Next week we will begin with the book of Deuteronomy with Dvarim. And so at the end of a reading we say, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. From strength to strength, we as a community become stronger. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei Israel al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la la ya la. Please be seated. Thank you, Susie.
So as we are transitioning into our Haftarah, before we finish and moving, Susie, before we move to our Haftarah, we had you dress Torah up so beautifully for us as you often did, but we're also celebrating today a small birthday. Are you celebrating a birthday?
Yes.
How many birthdays are you celebrating today?
One.
Just one. That's fair.
That's wonderful.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's accurate.
That's very accurate. So, in celebration, I understand that this is the 65th time you've celebrated one birthday. So we're working together very, very well, and that's certainly worth celebrating. So inside this bag, we have a little present for you. Because we love having you with us here at TBI for Shabbat, and we thought we'd give you something so that when you're not with us, we can be with you at Shabbat. So for your birthday, Chalakava, for celebrating Shabbat. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Susie. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Lovely. You will find our Haftarah read by Andrew today on page 1282. 1282. Sure.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nbiim tovim v'ratzav v'divrayim v'nemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo v'Yisrael amo v'ndiei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Jeremiah, hear the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, every clan of the house of Israel. Thus said the Lord, what wrong did your fathers find in me, and that they abandoned me, and went after delusion and were deluded? They never asked themselves, where is the Lord, who brought us from the land of Egypt, who led us through the wilderness, a land of deserts and pits, a land of drought and darkness, a land no man had traversed, where no human being had dwelt. I brought you to this country of farmland to enjoy its fruit and its bounty, but you came and defiled my land, you made my possession abhorrent. The priests never asked themselves, where is the Lord? The guardians of the teaching ignored me. The rulers rebelled against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal and followed what can do no good. So I will go on accusing you, declares the Lord, and I will accuse your children's children. Just cross over to the isles of the Kittim and look, send to Kedar and observe carefully. See if aught like this has ever happened. Has any nation changed its gods, even though they are no gods? But my people has exchanged its glory for what can do no good. Be appalled, O heavens, at this. Be horrified, utterly dazed, says the Lord. For my people have done a twofold wrong. They have forsaken me, the fount of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns, which cannot even hold water. Is Israel a bondman? Is he a home-born slave? Then why is he given over to plunder? Lions have roared over them, have raised their cries. They have made his land a waste, his cities desolate, without inhabitants. Those two in Noth and Tanpanhes will lay bare your head. See that this is the price you have paid for forsaking the Lord your God, while he led you in the way. What then is the good of your going to Egypt, to drink the waters of the Nile? And what is the good of your going to Assyria, to drink the waters of the Euphrates? Let your misfortune reprove you. Let your afflictions rebuke you. Mark well how bad and bitter it is that you forsake the Lord your God, that all from me is not in you, declares the Lord God of hosts. For long ago you broke your yoke, tore off your yoke bands, and said, I will not work. On every high hill and under every verdant tree you recline as a whore. I planted you with noble vines, all with choicest seed. Alas, I find you changed into a base and alien vine. Though you wash with natron and use much lye, your guilt is ingrained before me, declares the Lord God. How can you say I'm not defiled? I have not gone after the Baalim. Look at your deeds in the valley. Consider what you have done, like a lustful she-camel, restlessly running about, or like a wild ass used to the desert, snuffing the wind in her eagerness, whose passion none can restrain. None that seek her need grow weary. In her season they'll find her. Save your foot from going bare and your throat from thirst. But you say, it is no use? No, I love the strangers, and after them I must go. Like a thief chagrined when he is caught, so is the house of Israel chagrined. They, their kings, their officers, and their priests and prophets. They said to wood, you are my father, to stone, you gave birth to me, while to me they turned their backs and not their faces. But in their hour of calamity they cry, arise and save us. And where are those gods you made for yourself? Let them arise and save you if they can. In your hour of calamity, for your gods have become, O Judah, as many as your towns. Just now you call to me, Father, you are the guide of my youth. If you return, O Israel, declares the Lord, if you return to me, if you remove your abominations from my presence, and do not waver, and swear as the Lord lives, in sincerity, justice, and righteousness, nations shall bless themselves by you, and praise themselves by you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol halamim, tzadik b'chol harorot, ha'el haniman, v'omer v'osei, ha'mdaberim kayim, shechol v'varav, emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'nbiyim v'al yom, ha'shabbat hazeh, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדשה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך. מברכים אותה יתברך שמך לפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. This is one of the haftarot in the weeks preceding Tisha B'Av. This is Tisha B'Av being this Saturday, and a time of great sorrow for the community traditionally because of the destruction of the temple, and hope for the fulfillment of the prophecy, because the prophecy was partially that the temple would be destroyed because of the misbehavior of the people of Israel, but it is a source of hope and joy in the context that if the first part of the prophecy came true, so too the hope is that the second part would come true as well. And the second part of the prophecy was the reconstruction of the temple. We personally do not necessarily believe in the reconstruction in the context of reconstructing a temple so we can begin with animal sacrifices, but that temple can be metaphoric, it can be spiritual as well as physical, or it can be a physical temple but not necessarily reinstigating a traditional barbecue. Having said that, nothing wrong with a barbecue. We are in Australia here, so truly nothing wrong with a barbecue. We return to our Sefer Torah. We rise for the prayer for the country and for Israel. Caroline and Edith, if you'd come forward, if you could, please. We are on page 374. 374.
For our country. Let us bless our country of Australia and all its people. Let us have dreams in this historic land of dreamers. Let the hot winds from the desert fire our imagination. Let the red soil of the plains keep us rooted to the things that matter. Let the waters of our rivers, lakes, and oceans flow into our hearts, giving us depth and understanding. Help us remember those who have lived in this land before us and those who have made it their home in more recent times. Keep our eyes open to the beauty of this land. May we strive to keep its beauty present and strong. May we never be lazy in the work for peace. May we honour those who have died in defence of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they lead with justice and compassion. Let our compassion be like the encompassing coastlines of our continent. May acceptance, kindness, and peace live steadily within this ancient and enduring land. Amen.
Amen. And the prayer for Israel.
אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, בריך את מדינת ישראל בראשית צמיחת גאולתנו, הגן עליה בעברת חסדך, פרס עליה זכת שלומך, ושלח אורך ועומתך לרשותך, שליה ויועציה, ותקדם בעצה טובה מלפניך, נתת שלום בארץ, שמחת עולם, ויושביה, ונאמר אמן.
Amen. We return the Torah to the Ark on page 374. 374.
Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Ki niskach Shemo levado.
Live seated. For our drush today, we have a guest, Rabbi.
It's a tough Torah portion on which to drush. I found myself this week in conversation with a couple of people, and twice, more than a couple of people, but twice about Torah. And in both occasions, we pointed out in conversation that it's as if in this double portion, there is nothing new. Every single thing almost within our Sidra today is a revision or a reminder or a summary or a review or perhaps necessary, a closure to something which was introduced earlier in Torah. And that would make sense as we're getting towards the conclusion of the fourth book. It would also support those who believe in the documentary hypothesis of Torah's creation and evolution, that really this is where Torah originally ended. I never would say that from the Bimah, that would be sacrilegious. But it's a pretty good argument when you step off the Bimah. But really, if there's nothing new in Torah, what is there to drush on? And that's why I said it's often a challenging sidra to teach about and to speak about. So when one doesn't necessarily go first to something that jumps out at you from Torah, you then turn to the world, and this world has been anything but dull this past week. There is plenty of content. In the email we sent out to the congregation this week, Kantalum reminded us of the extraordinary events that took place in Thailand with the rescuing of those wild boars soccer team. There is so much we can learn from that. Or the fact, as we were reminded through the reading of the Haftarah that Andrew shared with us, that we are in the midst of this period of 3 weeks that lead up to Tisha B'Av, to the 9th of Av, this period of mourning within Jewish tradition where we are forced by rabbinic tradition to stop, review the actions and activities of the past, and to try our best to learn the lessons so that we don't repeat them. And then on a personal level, I could easily stand on this bimah till my face goes blue and talk about the wonders of modern medicine and this extraordinary cable which is bringing new life to me. But as I thought about all those things that are available to talk about, it was actually the repetitious nature of Torah that jumped back at me. It was back in the book of Shmot that we were introduced to these cities of refuge. These places that God commanded the Israelites establish so as to ensure that we weren't so quick to rush to judgment. 6 cities on the one side of the Jordan. 3 cities on one side of the Jordan and 3 on the other, spread across biblical Israel. And the basic idea of these cities of refuge is when someone was accused of murder, or even accused of manslaughter, there's a very big difference as we well know, that they would quickly and promptly make their way to one of these cities of refuge where they would find that refuge. And in that city, whilst under the protection of the leadership of that city, there could be time taken to have appropriate review of the case, the circumstances, the arguments, and a determination could be made whether it was indeed murder or manslaughter. A really interesting concept in the ancient world. A concept which has really fed down into the Western legal tradition in incredible ways. Innocent until proven guilty. Comes from this week's Sidra. But when I was looking over this story, one of the commentaries I was reading referred me to an article I'd never read before by the French philosopher Emmanuel Levinas. And so I went online, as you can, and found it very, very quickly. It wasn't a long read, a seminal piece, one of his great works, called The Cities of Refuge. And in this piece, Levinas challenged us to take it one step further, not only to look at the instigation of these cities of refuges as being a wonderful gift that Judaism gave to Western society in the creation of our legal structures, but that we should see the world in which we live today as if each and every one of us live in a city of refuge. What is it that he meant? What was it that he was challenging us to contemplate? Well, the idea is this: that the people who found their way in biblical Israel into a city of refuge were neither quite innocent, nor were they quite guilty. And Levinas suggests that the world in which we live, with all the luxuries and trimmings that we have that surround us, we occupy a very similar existence. This liminal space where we are not entirely good, but thank God, neither are we entirely bad. We're not entirely innocent, but we're not entirely guilty. There are incredible tragedies and travesties that are occurring in our world, some close to home, some far from home, which we as individuals are not entirely responsible for. But Levinas suggests that neither are we entirely freed from responsibility for. That we sit in a world where so easily we could be one thing or the other. And that unless we take personal responsibility, unless we pause to think about our role in the world, and to my shock, the example that Levinas used was the production of clothing in third world countries. We aren't guilty for the conditions under which these people work. We don't own these factories. We don't sustain a society which requires people to work in such conditions. But when we love getting that bargain at the store, we're not entirely innocent in allowing them to continue to exist. So we should, each and every day, challenge ourselves to go about life with the same intentionality, that sense of yir'ah, fear and trepidation, that we imagine the ancient Israelite would have experienced as they crossed the threshold into that city of refuge. Knowing that their life was now safe, but knowing that their life would never be the same. Because if we can bring that degree of intentionality to our lives, we will make this world a truly better place. And when I try and pull all of that together, a whole lot of things that don't necessarily make sense to me every single day seem to be becoming far clearer. That sense of personal responsibility that both took children and teenagers into a cave, but led the world to follow them in to bring them out. That sense of personal responsibility that took people yesterday to the Kotel to celebrate Rosh Chodesh Av, remembering this 3 weeks, and led others to disrupt their prayer violently. That sense of responsibility that allowed, again in Israel, a bill which is outstandingly wonderful from one perspective, that is looking to affirm the Jewish nature of the state, to pass its second reading at the Knesset. But a bill which on the other side of the coin, for the first time in since Israel's creation, discriminates against its non-Jewish citizens. What are we meant to do? Do we stand here and say these things have nothing to do with us, and how lucky we are to live in this extraordinary country? Do we look at the news and say, oh, that's so sad? Or do we do as Levinas suggests, accept that in 2018 each and every one of us live in a city of refuge, and we're required to be intentional and to do our part. I certainly think the latter is true, the latter is what we need, and the latter is what our tradition calls us to do. Last night, Max helped make us that point. That's your cue to pick up your guitar, even though I didn't tell you. Helped make that point in sharing a song with us. The song comes straight out of our biblical tradition and was part of another conversation I had this past week. An important reminder that our task is not necessarily to respond and to resolve each and every one of the challenges that face us in this extraordinarily complex world. But our responsibility is not to ignore them either, and that we shouldn't desist in our passion and in our effort to make this world a truly better place. So I began by saying there was nothing new in Torah. Nothing new in the Sidra. Everything had been introduced to us before. But I'm reminded, as always, the words of Rabbi Ben Bagbag that says, turn it and turn it, for there is always something new in it. And the lesson this week, Lo Alecha.
Lo Alecha, Hamlecha Ligmor, Hamlecha Ligmor, Lo Alecha, Hamlecha Ligmor, Hamlecha Ligmor, V'lo ata ben chorim lehibatel mimena, V'lo ata ben chorim, V'lo ata ben chorim lehibatel mimena, V'lo ata ben chorim, Lo alecha hamlecha ligmor, Hamlecha ligmor, Lo alecha hamlecha ligmor, Hamlecha ligmor.
How true it is that while it is not for us to finish the work, it is our responsibility to participate in it. And so we rise on page 586 as we conclude our service with Aleinu. Rosie, if you'll come forward and... Oh, there you are. Don't come forward, you're right here. Page 586, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצא הארץ, ומשב יגרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת חוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
אחד. We remain standing for a few more moments as we turn to the words of Kaddish Yatom on page 598. 598. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, and those who died at this season in years past, those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. This Shabbat we especially think of those in the period of Shiva of Alfreda Katz and Margot Kaufman, who will be laid to rest on Monday. We think of the Shloshim of Janine Black, John Brand, Susie Hendel, and Ian Jordan. And we think of the yahrzeits that fall on this Shabbat. We think of Gertrude Abush, Philip Bean, Alan Benjamin, Isidore Ben Tata, Henry Bock, Paul Bram, Bertie Berger, Susanna Gyro, Lucy Gladwin, Clara Goldband, Harry Harris, Dorothea Heyman, Eddie Jane, Walter Joseph, Maya Josky, Herta Katz, Joseph Kluger, Simon Lang, Kurt Leeser, Joseph Liu, Adolf Lustig, Alan Mansfield, Abraham Marks, Fred Moat, David Opat, Leah Payne, Isaac Bose, George Rogers, Ray Sack, Harry Samuel, Lola Samuel, Ruth Schlesinger, Des Shama, Hannah Shah, Perla Schinberg, Gerda Spitz, Judith Stafford, Rachel Schneider, Abraham Weisberg, Rosa Weisberg, and Nakako Yamamura. If I've mispronounced any of these names, please call out the name, or if there's other names that you would like to add to this list, please call their name out or hold them in your hearts. I'd also like us to think of the diver who went in to save these boys and gave his life in the attempt to rescue them. We continue with Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'arma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei l'chol Beis Yisrael, Bagalav b'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ulal almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei rikudesha b'richu. Leila min kal birchata v'shirata. Tush v'chata v'nechemata. Amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all of Israel, and to all of humanity. And we say, amen. Please be seated, and for our announcements, our Vice President, Judy. Welcome back.
Welcome everyone. We have our home team here today, I see. If there's someone here today that you don't know, please say hello to them because you should get to know them. They're our very loyal community. And those of you who are here for in memory as well, we welcome you, and also those who are joining us on the live web. Gersh, we also wanted to just think back for a moment. 5 years this week, I believe, is when we welcome you to our shul, and I know that it was spoken about last night, but that's another milestone for us all and for Gersh this week. Ari, we welcome you. Good to see you. How are you? Good? Yeah, good. Did you have fun this morning? Yeah. Yeah, we had fun having you, so that's great. Max, continued journeys together. Yeah. Thank you for everything. This is a real community service announcement this morning. Someone dropped some keys as they were walking in, and they're currently sitting, it's a little bunch of keys that's sitting in the office. I knew everyone would go diving into their bags at this stage, so rustle, rustle, make that noise, check you've got your keys. Remembrance. TBI is producing its own Book of Remembrance this year, and there are 2 more weeks for you to get your names of your loved ones into that, so please go ahead and do that. Tisha B'Av is on Saturday the 21st of July, and this year we're commemorating Tisha B'Av with Kehillat Nitzan on Hawthorne Road, and it's a joint service that will be starting at 6:30 in conjunction with TBI, Kedem, Etz Chaim and Leo Beck. We have a fun trivia night. Who's booked in for the trivia night yet? Good. Opposition I can see. Okay, you need to make a table up or join another table. It's on Saturday the 18th of August, and there's going to be a silent auction, and there's going to be raffles and games and prizes, and we'd love you all to come. I have my table booked. We're a force to be reckoned with, not at all, so feel free to come and beat us happily, that's fine. You'll see on your Kol Yisrael that we're looking for people to help with our Take Them a Meal program. So if you could please sign up if you're able to help with that, that would be great. Semester 2 of the Melton School is starting, and enrolments are closing soon. So please sign up for those all as well. Information is on your Kol Yisrael. In November, we've got the UPJ Biennial, and it's being hosted in Melbourne this time, which is really nice because it's not far to travel. And it's down on the water at the Novotel, which is going to be lovely. I'm involved with organising some of the social things, so it's bound to be lots of fun, so you really should come along. And there are going to be some special sessions that will be very interesting for us to be listening to. I wanted also to mention, some of you may have noticed that we used a different prayer for our country this week and last week as well, I believe. And so that came out of the Religious Life Committee, of which I am the chair. And speaking, as Gersh did, about the importance of continuing with the work, we have a lovely Religious Life Committee that meets monthly, and a few of the people who are involved are in the room. But if it's something you might also like to be involved in, there is room for a couple of more people on that committee. Thank you for the beautiful music today, Joel, Ari and Max. Thank you to our wonderful laners, it was really beautiful, Ruja and Julia. Peter, I think, has left, so I'll thank him on your behalf, as you're not leaving, but when I see him later in the day, you know what to do with your books. Kiddush is behind us, and Shabbat Shalom to all.
Thank you, Judy. We do conclude with the words of Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all of Israel, and to all of humanity. And we say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu.
Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom, and if you'll join us in the Shalom Hall, we'll begin with Kiddush in just a moment. If you'll come through to the Shalom Hall, we'll begin with Kiddush in just a moment. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי 6 ימים מצא אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. על כן ברך את יום השבת ויקדשהו, סברי מרנן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen. Shabbat Shalom and Betavon, bon appétit. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. You're up soon. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.